Shannon, we were talking to Mario a little bit about Todd Orlando, who once worked with him back in the day.
Yeah.
He's been a lot of places and for a lot of years, and has done a lot of things defensively. How do you prepare to face his defense as it exists today?
I mean, I think it's a little bit different every year. I mean, he evolves year to year. Probably keeps him where he's at. He really gets his guys to play hard, which is probably either half the battle or more than half the battle on defense. And so they're a highly motivated bunch. They play really hard inside. They fly to the ball. They're a little bit different than they were last year schematically, just slight adjustments. But he does mix up a lot of coverages. Like he'll go cover 2 at odd times and do some zone pressures at odd times. So he does some things to mix up the coverage that'll keep a quarterback on his toes for sure.
So does that make it significant to have a quarterback like Carson who can be so?
I mean, you'd rather have that than the alternative, obviously. And so, yeah, I think keeping things fairly simple for the quarterback, where his eyes are in the right place and his mind's clear, is important. But he's played a lot of ball, and Carson watches a ton of film, and so we'll be prepared for it, I feel.
I think we may have asked you about last week, but Samson getting in, rotating last 2, we just to see his throw, to see him being able to finally crack the line. Just what does that mean, and what is he showing you over his first?
I mean, it was the same in camp. Really, you could tell. People start clicking at different points in their career. You could tell during camp that Samson has been taking huge strides, and those games reps he's been getting are obviously huge. Same with a lot of young guys. I mean, we got to play a lot of young guys Saturday, which is great, and they had a lot of good quality reps in the game. And you can see that we have a lot of young guys that are talented that just need to develop, get 1 week better. I mean, at some point we're gonna be relying on those guys this year. Relying on Samson already, obviously. I'm talking about other guys.
You talked about it at length last week. How did you think the wideouts graded out just in terms of the blocking?
It was the same. I mean, we had 1 holding penalty. Malley had a holding penalty, and it was a holding penalty, but he can learn from it. And but overall, I mean, in the run game, they're putting hats on safeties and being physical. In that game particularly, we knew that there was going to be a lot of things spit out on the perimeter just by the nature in which they played defense. So, and those blocks are a little more complicated because in space, you can get a holding penalty if your technique and your effort isn't where it needs to be. But for the most part, we did a great job blocking on the perimeter. And they take ownership in doing the dirty work. They really do. I mean, they'll talk more about the blocks than they do the catches, which fires me up.
Is that, I'm going to presume that's rare?
Very rare. I think that who we are as an offense kind of breeds it because, when we start practicing against the defense, we're not a huge RPO team. We're not gonna sit there and throw glances when we run the ball. We're gonna block safeties, and then we're gonna play action off of that and do stuff like that. So, we start from day one that hey man, this is who we are. This is our identity. We want to run the ball, be physical, but that's not just the O-line and tight ends and running backs that, everybody has to bear the weight of playing physical, and they really, take it and ran with it. I think guys like CJ's leadership as an older guy, you see CJ and Keelan and those guys blocking, and I think everybody kind of fall in line. They do a great job leading that group.
There was a stat that was floated around last week, and I tried to look it up and I couldn't figure it out, but it said since the start of last year, you guys have run between the tackles on 77% or 78% of your carries, which is second most in the country or something. How much of a certain badge of honor is it that there's not a lot of mystery? When you're going to run it, you kind of know, people kind of know where it's going. You kind of dare them to stop it, and more often than not, obviously, they're not. So,
well, I mean, I think that we're built very physical up front. We're big, so we can move people, and so our bread and butter run game is running at you. Now we do run wide zone and some things to get the ball on the perimeter, but the one thing that I look at is all those balls that get spit out on the perimeter are run game. All those count as hitting the defense at different places. So sometimes the run might be up the middle, and if Carson spits it out to Miley or to CJ or to Ray, then that's a perimeter run game. You know, so the ball doesn't necessarily have to be handed off when we call it. I mean, if they got everybody in there, we can spit it out on the perimeter too. So all that stuff matters. You know, I mean, if you look at run game hits, you know, a lot of times in run game, it does hit up the middle. A lot of times with duo particularly, that ball spits out a lot of different places. That's the beauty of duo, in my opinion. I'll get Maribal to give you a dissertation on it, but duo is a play that can hit backside B, can hit down the A, or can spit all the way out to the C and D gaps. And so the ball might get started down the middle, but that particular run play, which is a run that we run quite often, can get spit anywhere. And so that's why I like it, because based on how the D line and linebackers fit, the ball is going to go one of probably 4 different places. And it isn't just an A gap run. I mean, the run that Pringle scored on bounced out to the B gap and they blocked the safety and it scored. Technically that was, you know, an A gap run call, but that thing spit all the way out to the B gap.
If it can go 4 different places, shouldn't we call it something other than duo?
Probably. It's just, I don't even know why it's called duo, to be honest with you. I just know that's what it's called.
Shannon, you talked about the depth in the receiver room, how you like how much you guys had on the depth chart. I think it was 10 different guys caught passes from Carson before you guys were out second unit. And just to be able to see that on display, to see how many options he has and him starting to build chemistry in game settings with multiple guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've always believed that the key to offense is spreading the ball around, you know, where the ball isn't going to one guy all the time. And so you see 10 or so guys touch the ball, that's a good thing for the Canes. You know, it means that they can't focus on one guy, you know. And so the other thing about duo, not to like go to another point, but like I also like efficient offense. I don't like going backwards. Like, so to me, getting first downs and the ball going forward is a sign of good offensive football. And so a lot of times those runs, you know, that might not get 15, 20 yards, they might get 3 or 4 yards. They put you in a third down situation and a second down situation is very advantageous, you know, rather than some of those wide plays you can watch across college football. I mean, some of them hit big, but some of them go backwards 3 or 4 yards too. And so, you know, it's what you believe in, really.
CJ Daniels, again, big contested catch touchdowns last game. Is that something you saw in him when you were evaluating him? He always had that as he improved in it this year. What allows him to be so good at that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guy's very talented. I mean, he's got good body control. He's got good ball skills. But yeah, I mean, you know, you look back even to his time at Liberty, right? I mean, he was a vertical threat machine, you know. Now, you know, whatever happened last year happened, and I don't necessarily hold that against him, but you could see signs of him even then of being a very, very productive receiver. And so I just felt with him particularly that, you know, that we could put him in a position to highlight what he does really well. And now I didn't necessarily know at the beginning, to be very transparent, I didn't know he had the leadership skills he has. I didn't know that he was a type of person that could really change a whole room. You know, just with his mentality and his personality and charisma and the way he carries himself, I had no idea that was going to be the case. I was kind of icing on the cake with him a little bit, but that's been bigger than any play he's made, to be honest.
Obviously, Malachi Tony's gotten a ton of attention over the first 2 weeks. Pretty sure he's your leading receiver through 2 games. How have you seen him just kind of handle this early success? Obviously, he's like just turning 18, I think, this month. So just like, how does he handle the last couple of weeks?
Nothing seems to faze him. You know, he's the same person every day. You know, he just comes to work. I think he just really likes football, and so, you know, I don't see any change in him from really the first moment he stepped on campus. You know, the game's definitely not too big for him, and he's never gonna get in a situation where he thinks he's bigger than the team or bigger than anything. He knows that he's a important cog in the process, but just a part of what we're doing, right? And so his mentality is very unselfish. He has a very servant mentality, and if he keeps that, you know, I mean, and he is going to keep it because that's the character he has. And so, but he hasn't changed one bit. I mean, he just keeps coming and like goes to work. He's got a great personality and a great demeanor to him, and you know, he just really loves football.
Every game and every year is different, but when you think back to last year's USF game, what stands out in your mind? Because that game was closer. Maybe
Yeah, it was really. I mean, I thought, you know, when we came out, you know, they were more aggressive than I thought they would be on defense as far as like coverage. They came out and got in our face, played man, which before that point they had played a little bit looser. Their effort was really high. You know, they had an edge to them. And there, we obviously played at their place, so they had a good environment for that game. They had built it up. But, you know, for the first half of that game, I mean, it was extremely competitive. And I mean, and that's what I anticipate this game to be. I mean, I think, you know, their energy is going to be high. They're coming off of two really quality victories, and they should be feeling good about themselves because they're playing at a high level.
Well, you were obviously probably a little busy yesterday. Did you watch any Titans?
I did. I watched some. I watched a little bit. I didn't watch the whole game, but I watched enough to know what happened.
And how do you look?
I thought he looked good. I mean, he had there were some situations that came up that he's going to learn from, you know, and I mean, I think he'll be the first to tell you that. And you know, there were some key drops through the game too that I think, you know, I mean, I've said it from the first day I've worked here, but the quarterback position is a very dependent position. Like, you need guys around you to do their job, and I think it was evident. You know, you look at the CJ post catch, right? I mean, look, great, phenomenal throw by Carson, great catch, great route by CJ, but there was nobody around Carson. Like, literally, for 5 yards, it was open air, and he stood back there. And so my point is, I mean, it's a very dependent position. You got to have people around you doing your job, their job at a high level to allow you to do your job. And so sometimes we lose sight of that at quarterback because of, you know, some of the press certain people get or whatever. But guess what? Like, you can't throw it and catch it. You know what I mean? And you can't block and throw it. Like, you need your teammates to do their job.
With Mark Fletcher, he seems like it's only been 2 games, but averaging almost 6 yards a carry.
Yeah.
I mean, just his ability to just pound the rock like that. I mean, how have you seen him grow coming into this year, and just, you know, what does he do for this offense at this point in his career?
Well, I mean, he's steady. You know, we know what we're going to get from Mark, and that's the key with a lot of the guys that walk out on the field is they're steady personality guys, and they're not too up and not too down. They go about their way just to do their job, you know. And so I think players around them, you know, can depend on him, and they know what they're going to get with him. His, you know, Mark's been through a ton, and he just keeps getting better, and his attitude keeps, you know, very steady. Just an unbelievable character kid, but you know, he's always there when you need him, and he's built to run duo.
Quad.
What? Quad? That's what you're gonna start
That's what
calling
I
it?
was gonna call it.
I'm with that. Yeah, to get with Mariball about that. Like, I mean, he might.
Duo it is.
Yeah, duo it is.
Sticking with the same group, Jordan Lyle, Mario said is hopefully be back this week.
Yeah, he's back.
So just, I mean, he's obviously talented. He can break off big runs. So just the compliment of
Yes.
him. I mean, just how much of a privilege I guess is that to have, or as an offensive coordinator, to have 2 guys who can do things in different
Well, I mean,
ways.
I would say 3. You know, I mean, we have a multiple. You know, we have a room that you can roll, you know, any one of those guys out there and feel really good about it. And as you can see Saturday, we have some young guys that are really talented too. And when it's their time to play, they'll obviously showcase that. But the 3 guys that we're riding with, you know, the most, I mean, honestly, you could pick one out of a hat and put him in a game, and I feel as comfortable with one of them as I do with all 3 of them. And so, and they all root for each other, and so it's a good room, and it's a room that needs to be deep because of the nature in which we play.
Having done that, you pick one out of the hat, just, hey, you're doing this right.
I let Matt do that.
It's pretty clear that Carson and Malachi have good chemistry already.
Yeah.
How much extra work are they doing outside of practice, after practice, et cetera, to establish that chemistry already?
A lot. I mean, through camp, it was a lot. Now it's a lot of, they watch tape, like that group watches tape together. So when we practice, they'll watch it together even before we watch it with them. And so Carson will be in there and just like any subtle changes that like, hey man, I really need you here on this particular concept or whatever. And so that's the rhythm of the week now is more so of them meeting together. Now they will, you know, if we have a practice and a couple balls don't get completed on a certain concept, they'll stay out there and work on that. But we have to be conscious of kids' legs too, you know, I mean, they can only run so much during the week. And so the rhythm of the week is more so of them finding time to meet together. But that did exist throughout camp. Obviously, we were trying to make up time because of Carson not going through spring. And so there was a certain rapport that he had to create with those guys because of just the injury and coming off of injury and not being able to throw as much in the spring. And so that needed to be heightened up a little bit through camp for sure.
Anything else? Great, thank you, Coach.